when I was a little troll here in Eastern Europe, and I would go to the library and I would write on the first page of Harry Potter, Snape dies, page 456. My God, I felt so good about myself. I would take the Bible, I would put it in the fantasy section. Those were the days. And if you were to be in those days and you would ask an Eastern European, what does he think when he hears about America? He would tell you hamburgers, pistols, and most importantly, Superman. Because Superman was an American icon. It was recognized everywhere around the earth. Even here, when we had the Iron Curtain, people knew about Superman. That's how powerful of an American symbol was. If you think about it, America isn't like most European nations, as in it's not as old. I mean, you look at Britain. Oh my God, Britain is thousands of years old. Like all the other European nations. America is just a couple of 100 years, so they don't really have like their kings and their queens. And no, they do have their own cultural artifacts, part of which is comic books, I would say. I mean, it's a huge contribution to culture around the world. And to see the absolute state is not even disheartening, it's bewildering. I don't think I could have done such a thorough job at destroying such a successful industry. I mean, look at this. Major Comics, 2021. I know that Ethan Van Sciver disagrees that manga consists in comics, but I disagree with him. It's people doing things that are drawn with text bubbles. It's a fucking comic. I mean, it's Shueisha, Kodansha, Kadokawa, Shogakukan, Kakao, Naver Corporation. And here you have Little Marvel. Little Marvel, and behind Little Marvel is DC Comics. Panini Comics. Panini Comics is Italian. Imagine if it was in English. It would be on top of Marvel. But unfortunately, only people who know Italian will buy it. So this is why it's under DC Comics. Because I was bewildered at first. Like, how the fuck can you be under DC Comics? Well, that's why. But I do not know how these people managed to successfully destroy a business like this. I would not have been able to. If you hired me back in 2014 and said, V, you need to destroy Marvel, I'll be like, dude, I can't. Like, it's impossible. It's such a huge brand. Like, there is nothing that I can do. Well, apparently there are people who managed to. I remember when the Avengers came out. And for the first time ever, comic books became popular to the mainstream. And you would go into a comic book shop, and literally none of the characters you would see in the freaking movie were in the comics. You wanted to see Thor? Well, tough shit, you have female Thor. Do you know how many women liked Thor in the movie? Like, they were moist. The humidity in the cinema was going to wet. Because like there were so many women there, and they saw Thor Real on the big screen. And when they wanted to go into a comic book, they saw female Thor. That's not the husbando. That's not the husbando they were craving. So it was just Thor, like Iron Man. You get Iron Heart. You like Wolverine? Well, you got another character. Like literally every single character was replaced. Smart business decision, by the way. And again, like taking away the husbandos from the women. But, and not even giving waifus though. Not even giving waifus, because that was the other thing, right? Like, okay, you're taking away the husbandos, can we get some waifus? No, like they were insufferable. Both on the exterior and on the interior. So, no surprise there. But to see that such an impactful cultural hallmark, which are comic books, are completely destroyed by an inferior product, and manga is objectively inferior. Like, it's not colored, it's black and white. Okay? Like, objectively, there's less effort being placed. And I know the cope, it's like, oh, well, it's the style. And then shut the fuck up, okay? Like, if it doesn't have color, and another one does have color, it's inferior. Like, people should gravitate to the one with color, but no, they don't. Why? Because the stories are shit. The characters do not act like characters. It's atrocious. It's atrocious. And you can see the customers already explaining with their wallets that it is atrocious. Like, you can't go into any comic book store. 2/3 of it is probably manga. Everywhere you go. I am curious, like, how many people are purchasing Marvel, like, 20 or 30 issues because they're collectors. I'm really curious about that. But not only that, you know, like, when it first started, because, like, people noticed for a long time that the sales are going down the shitter. They were pointing it out. It's like, look, it's not selling. And the Cope came in. It's like, oh no, it's digital copies. Like, people buy digital copies. Turns out that they weren't buying digital copies, right? And a lot of these sales that you get to see here, like a DC comic explained, it was a comic book called Superman versus the Klan. And I looked at it and it's $10. And I'm like, who in their right fucking mind would pay $10 for that shit? Like, you know, like if you have $10, you buy a video game. Why would you buy a comic? And the author of the comic said that he wants schools and libraries to buy it, right? It's educational material, Superman versus the Klan. So that was the thing. Like, they would work hand in hand with the activists from schools and libraries in order to purchase high numbers of their comics. And that's how they expected to get sales, by bypassing the customer. And by the way, Superman versus the Klan, I know it was an all-time famous comic at the time, but the remake isn't. The remake is about a Chinese immigrant, like a Chinese girl that's an immigrant, and she relates to Superman because Superman is also an immigrant, and they're fighting against the Klan, who basically just want border control, right? Like, they're not the Klan of old. So in other words, if you want border control, then you're part of the Klan. And that comic book is to target children. And if their parents happen to be like, no, like, we need to secure the border, the child goes like, but Superman would fight against you, daddy. And then you wonder, it's like, why are the sales so atrocious? You know, you read manga, you don't get that shit. They don't talk about that. So, yeah, I have no faith that the American comic books are ever going to get back on top. Hopefully, there are independent comic book creators that might successfully create something. I'm really curious to see the sales for 2022 and 2023. Like, that would also be interesting. Of course, 2022 is going to probably come out less this year, and next year we're going to see for 2023, because I think they're going to be even in more decline, like more abysmal than they are now. And in the meantime, I'm curious about the Cope. I'm willing to bet that the Cope is going to be, it's not wokeness that causes comics not to sell. And the more interesting one, which I already expect, manga is already woke. Like, that's probably something that we're going to see. Yes, manga is already woke, so get ready for that line of thinking. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care. Oh, and very important, it's shilling time. If you happen to like the channel, I don't know what reason you'd have to, but like, if you do, you can go to the link into the pinned comment, and it will take you to another channel, which is my live stream. And the link, which will take you to my Subscribe Star, if you want to pledge your membership. And then I get to know that you're supporting me, and I will appreciate that. I'll also use the money to make a video game in the future. I'll announce it probably at the end of this year. I'll announce my video game. So hopefully I'll see you guys there, and in the meantime, I'll also see you in the comment section. Take care.